A welcome to you all to this special service of lessons and carols with a difference. It's with a difference because whilst the carols are familiar to you, most of the readings and lessons might be somewhat different. Firstly, the lighting of the Advent wreath. As this season of sparkle and bright unfolds, it folds around us. We welcome the beauty of love which is found woven into the simplicity of every moment. And may love flow from our hearts with abundance, filling every moment with the season's gifts of hope and peace and joy. May it be shared truly and deeply, that all who encounter it may be charged with its message and become themselves agents of love. And may our children who love without reckoning teach us the truth of this most precious gift. We are nothing without each other. Let us live then in the blessing of love. And tomorrow when we meet again on Christmas Day at 9 o'clock in the morning for a shorter service, we will light the Christmas candle. And so I would also like to personally welcome this morning friends of mine, Robert and Sue Noble. Robert is there, Sue is there. Robert got off the plane at midnight last night from the UK. He says he's come to watch a cricket match. Best of luck with that one, at least as far as your term is concerned. I'd like to call upon Peter Kingsbury just to share some short notices with us.
Yes, good morning, St Michael's. We have visitors today from Brisbane, Gippsland. I take it that includes Point Hicks, Geelong, Whistler in Canada, Surrey Hills and Mornington. Will you all, St Michael's people, give them a very warm Christmas welcome? So I've been told to make this brief. So we have visiting ministers as of the 31st. Ron Rosinski, who's probably known to most of you here, will be taking the pre-New Year service. And seeing as it's a truncated message, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and leave you with this thought from the fire at Ross's farm. Two grimy hands in friendship joined, and it was Christmas Day. Thank you.
When the world was dark and the city was quiet, you came. You crept in beside us, and no one knew. Only the few who dared to believe that God might just do something different. Will you do the same this Christmas, Lord? Will you come into the darkness of today's world? Not the friendly darkness, as when sleep rescues us from tiredness, but the fearful darkness in which people have stopped believing that war will end, or that food will come, or that a government will change, or even that the church cares. Will you come into that darkness and do something different to save your people from death and despair? Will you come into the quietness of this city, not the friendly quietness as when lovers hold hands, but the fearful silence when the phone has not rung, the letter that has not come, the friendly voice that no longer speaks, when the doctor's face says it all? Will you come into that darkness and do something different? Not to distract, but to embrace your people. And will you come into the dark corners and the quiet places of our lives? We ask this not because we are guilt-ridden or want to be, but because the fullness of our lives longed for depends upon us being as open and vulnerable to you as you were to us when you came wearing no more than diapers and trusting human hands to hold their maker. Will you come into our lives if we open them to you and do something different? When the world was dark and the city was quiet, you came. You crept in beside us. Do the same this Christmas, Lord. Do the same this Christmas. And saw darkness. Peace looked down and saw war. Love looked down and saw hatred. So the Lord of light, the Prince of peace, the King of love came down and crept in beside us.
The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in the land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His authority shall grow continually, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. He will establish and uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time onward and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this.
In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Saviour, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you, and you will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger."
And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favours." When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste, and they found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about the child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them.
Christmas is not just Mr. Pickwick dancing a reel with the old lady at Dingley Dell, or Scrooge waking up the next morning a changed man. It's not just the spirit of giving abroad in the land with a white beard and reindeer. It's not just the most famous birthday of them all, and not just the annual reaffirmation of peace on earth that it's often reduced to, so that people of many faiths or no faith can exchange Christmas cards without a qualm. On the contrary, if you do not hear in the message of Christmas something that must strike some as blasphemy and others as sheer fantasy, the chances are you've not heard the message for what it is. Emmanuel is the message in a nutshell. Emmanuel, which is Hebrew for God with us. That's where the problem lies. The claim that Christianity makes for Christmas is that at a particular time and place, the high and lofty one who inhabits eternity came to be with us himself. When Quinius was governor of Syria in a town called Bethlehem, a child was born who, beyond the power of anyone to account for, was the high and lofty one, made low and helpless. The one whom none can look upon and live is delivered in a stable under the soft, indifferent gaze of cattle. The Father of all mercies puts himself at our mercy. And year after year, the ancient tale of what happened is told, raw, preposterous, holy, and year after year, the world in some measure stops to listen. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth, a dream as old as time. If it is true, it is the chief of all truths. If it is not true, it is of all truths the one that people would most have to be true if they could make it so. Maybe it is that longing to have it to be true is that at the bottom even of the whole vast Christmas industry, the tons of cards and presents and fancy food, the plastic figures kneeling on the floodlit lawns of poorly attended churches. The world speaks of holy things in the only language it knows, which is a worldly language. Emmanuel. We must all decide for ourselves whether it is true. Certainly the grounds on which to dismiss it are not hard to find. Christmas is commercialism, it's a pain in the neck, it's sentimentality, it's wishful thinking, the shepherds, the star, the three wise men, make-believe. Yet it's never as easy to get rid of all of this as it sounds. To dismiss Christmas is for most of us to dismiss part of ourselves. It's to dismiss one of the most fragile yet enduring visions of our own childhood and of the child that continues to exist in all of us, the sense of mystery and wonderment, the sense that on this one day each year, 2 plus 2 adds up not to 4, but to 1,000,000. What keeps the wild hope of Christmas alive year after year in a world notorious for dashing all hopes is the haunting dream that the child who was born that day may yet be born again, even in us. Emmanuel, Emmanuel.
When the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to teach the nations, to bring Christ to all, to make music in the heart.
His disciples said to him, "Show us the place where you are, since it is necessary for us to seek it." He said to them, "Whoever has ears, let him hear." There is light within a person of light, and it shines the whole world. If he does not shine, it is dark.
I am the one whose praise echoes on high. I adorn all the earth. I am the breeze that nurtures all things green. I encourage blossoms to flourish with ripening fruits. I am led by the Spirit to feed the purest of streams. I am the rain coming from the dew that causes grass to laugh with the joy of life. I call forth tears, the aroma of holy work. I am the yearning for the good.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be? Brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
No one, after lighting a lamp, hides it under a jar or puts it under a bed, but they put it on a lampstand so that those who enter may see the light.
When I was a small child during the war, we were very poor and we lived in a remote village. One day, on the road, I found the broken pieces of a mirror. A German motorcycle had been wrecked in that place. I tried to find all the pieces and put them together. But it was not possible. So I kept only the largest piece, this one, and by scratching it on a stone, I made it round. I began to play with it as a toy and became fascinated by the fact that I could reflect light into dark places where the sun would never shine, in deep holes and crevices and dark closets. It became a game for me to get light into the most inaccessible places I could find. I kept the little mirror, and as I went about my growing up, I would take it out in idle moments and continue the challenge of the game. As I became a man, I grew to understand that this was not just a child's game, but a metaphor for what I might do with my life. I came to understand that I am not the light or the source of the light, but light, truth, understanding, knowledge is there, and it will only shine in many dark places if I reflect it. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of me, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I am about. This is the meaning of life.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. And what has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness. Will the darkness understand? And so we bring these, our Christmas gifts, and with them we bring ourselves, particularly ourselves, to others, as we share love, joy, and peace to those around us. Amen. On the eve of Christmas, hatred will vanish. On the eve of Christmas, the earth will flourish. On the eve of Christmas, war will be gone. On the eve of Christmas, love will be born. When we offer a glass of water to a thirsty person, when we clothe a naked person with a gown of love, when we wipe the tears from weeping eyes, when the spirit of revenge dies in me, when in my heart I no longer want to stay apart, when I am buried in the being of God, it is Christmas. Light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it, proclaims the ancient word. Light stands against the dark landscape of reality. Warmth prances in rooms too long drafty. Each of us holding a flickering candle, seemingly insignificant one by one. Yet, magnificent when held together. And so go and make a choice to stand in the light, proclaiming the indisputable presence of unquenchable light. And may your light shine in the darkness, and the darkness will not overcome it.